Hey guys, I'm Matt Adlard. I'm a pastry chef based here in England. I've been working with Nespresso for a long time, but I'm very excited about today because I want to bring you joy and inspiration this Valentine's. I'm going to be taking you through a step-by-step Valentine's Day baking class because this year it's all about self-love, it's about treating yourself, and it's about feeling good. Now there are two things that I absolutely love, and that's coffee and ice cream. So I want to make a dessert for you that has a beautiful Nespresso coffee ice cream, but this is not any old dessert. This is a plated dessert, and the reason we're going to be making a plated dessert is because I just love the creativity of plated desserts when it comes to mixing flavors and textures and colors, and it brings me so much accomplishment and joy when I finish a plated dessert, and I'm hoping when you take on this class you're going to feel exactly that too. So get your ingredients out, get yourself a coffee, and let's start baking. We're going to start by making the Nespresso ice cream because this is the process that really takes the longest amount of time. And I'm going to use the Dio Velito capsule. I'm actually going to use 3 capsules in one glass because I want a very intense dark coffee flavour, which is exactly what this capsule is going to give me. So into a medium saucepan I've got double cream and I've got whole milk, and then on top of that I'm going to add my freshly brewed Nespresso coffee. I'm going to pour that in, and I'm just going to use a spatula to stir it through together, and we're going to put that onto a medium heat and just get it to a very gentle simmer. And while that is warming up, we're going to whisk together our egg yolks and our sugar. Now I don't need to go crazy here, I don't need to add any air into this or get it thick and pale. Literally just whisk them together until the sugar is completely dissolved into the egg yolks, and it should look still relatively thin and rich in colour. You're going to take that hot milk mixture and you're going to very slowly pour it over the eggs. What we're doing here is we're tempering the egg yolks. If we pour the hot cream over too quickly, we could end up actually scrambling the eggs, so pour it in very slowly. Then we're going to pour this mixture back into the saucepan and we're going to cook it on the heat, almost like we're making a custard. Now put it on the heat and be very careful here. You want it on a medium-low heat. You're just going to keep stirring it with a spatula until it's thickened ever so slightly, and when you run your finger across the back of a spoon, you should leave a really nice line, just like this. We're going to pour the mixture straight through a sieve and we're going to chill it overnight. Once the ice cream base has chilled overnight, we're going to remove it from the fridge, we're going to put it into a jug, and we're going to pour it into an ice cream machine. Now the ice cream machine is always going to give you the best results and the best texture for your ice cream, and we're going to churn it for about 20 minutes. Now after 20 minutes you should notice that it becomes a lot thicker in consistency and it's really filling the top of the ice cream bowl. We're going to pop that back in the freezer just to chill before we plate. To make meringue, we're going to start by adding egg whites into the bowl of a stand mixer. Now you could do this by hand, but it'd be really difficult, so I definitely advise using an electric whisk or a stand mixer, and you're going to whisk it on a medium-low speed until it becomes nice and frothy. Then you're going to slowly add in the sugar, about 1 tablespoon at a time, and keep whisking on a medium speed. Once you've added in all the sugar, what you should end up with is a mixture that is nice and stiff and glossy, just like it is here. Then we're going to remove that bowl from the stand mixer and we're going to place a sieve on top. And into that sieve we're going to add our icing sugar, just to get out any of the lumps, tap it over the top, and then use a spatula to fold the icing sugar through the meringue. Now initially it might look a little bit dry, but don't panic, it will all incorporate in, but just use your spatula to really stir it through, get all the icing sugar off the bottom. Then we're going to put this meringue onto a baking tray. So I've lined a baking tray here with parchment paper, or you can use a silicone mat. You're going to spread a very small amount out until it's really nice and thin. You want to get it really, really thin because it's going to puff up ever so slightly in the oven as it bakes. We're going to bake it for about 25 minutes at 90 degrees Celsius, then turn off the oven and leave it in there to cool for about an hour. So we're halfway through the recipe now, and I would say the ice cream and the meringue shards are probably the hardest bits, but I want to give you a couple tips just as you're going to help you out. So when it comes to the ice cream, you've got to cook that coffee custard over a low heat. If the temperature is too high, you could actually end up scrambling the eggs in the mixture. You'll end up with little lumps and chunks in your ice cream, which is not what you want. That would be a real disaster. And if you don't have an ice cream machine, do not panic, because what you can do is pour that ice cream mixture into a big container, put it in the freezer, and stir it with a spatula every 30 minutes until it is frozen. Now when it comes to the meringue shards, they're actually not going to cook for that long. They're only cooked for about 25 minutes. But the secret is, once they're done, turn the oven off, open the door, let it cool down ever so slightly for about 2 hours until they reach room temperature, and you should end up with meringue shards that have a very nice snap. We've got 2 more components of this dessert left, and then we're going to start to plate. And now there's just 2 elements left to this plated Valentine's dessert, and this is the orange and almond drizzle. So I've got flour, sugar and ground almonds going into a bowl. On top of that, I'm going to add some cold unsalted butter and the zest of half a medium orange. You could also use lemon zest here, but I think the citrus works really well because we're going to add grapefruit to the dessert later on. And you can use your hands just to work the butter into the mixture until it resembles kind of a crumble-like consistency. chill it for about 30 minutes, and then put it onto a baking tray. We're going to bake that about 185°C for 15 to 18 minutes until it's golden. And for the final element of this dish, a nice and simple vanilla whipped cream. So I've got double cream going into a bowl, along with some vanilla and sugar, and I'm going to use a hand whisk just to whisk it until I get a nice medium peak. We want to make sure we don't over whisk it. And we're going to add it into a piping bag, one fitted with a round tip nozzle, the other with a star tip nozzle, and we're going to use those to decorate the plate. On to the best part, where we're going to get really creative in designing our own dessert, and I'm going to start by adding my almond and orange streusel just around the outside of a white plate in kind of a half dome shape. I want to work with negative space here and the colours that we've got. I'm going to pipe some whipped cream into the centre. This is going to act as a little bit of a stand later on for our meringue shard. I'm going to use the star tip nozzle to pipe a few dollops around the outside. And I'm also going to garnish the streusel with some fresh grapefruit, which works really well with coffee, and then some small little herbs. And we're going to grab those meringue shards out of the oven. You want to break them up into a relatively large piece. The shape doesn't matter. Again, this is your creativity. You can make it as big or small as you want, but I want this to house my ice cream. So I'm going to take a nice hot spoon. I'm going to take a scoop of that lovely Nespresso coffee ice cream. I'm going to place it onto the meringue shard, and then very carefully lift that meringue shard onto the cream that we piped earlier. And that is your Nespresso Editions Valentine's dessert, which looks absolutely stunning. I love the flavour and the texture combinations using the coffee and the citrus, and just how colourful it is. It is the perfect treat for yourself. So there is your Nespresso Editions Valentine's Day dessert, and I just love the design and the creativity by using the white space and kind of creating that half dome effect with the streusel. But like I said, you can design the plate in any way that you want. Use those components and those elements to design something that inspires you. And if you do make it, please tag us, hashtag Nespresso Editions. You can get the full recipe on Nespresso.com. But there is one more thing, okay? This recipe makes a full tub of Nespresso ice cream. So the question is, are you going to share that with anyone? I mean, personally, I'm going to eat the whole tub myself. But what you could do instead is tag a loved one in the comments, get them to make you the recipe, then you can make sure that they save you a few scoops. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and have a fantastic Valentine's.